1962 में श्री लाल बहादुर शास्त्री जी ने प्रशासन में भ्रष्टाचार की बढ़ती हुई घटनाओं से निपटने एवं सुझाव देने के लिए कस्तूरी रंगा संथानम कमेटी नियुक्त की। कमेटी की संस्तुतियों पर अमल करते हुए भारत सरकार ने 1 अप्रैल 1963 को रेजोल्यूशन द्वारा केंद्रीय अन्वेषण ब्यूरो अर्थात सीबीआई की स्थापना की। सीबीआई के प्रथम डायरेक्टर डीपी कोहली ने सीबीआई अधिकारियों का मार्गदर्शन करते हुए कहा, जनता आपसे कार्यकुशलता और सत्यनिष्ठा दोनों में उच्चतम स्तर की अपेक्षा करती है। उस विश्वास को बनाए रखना है। प्रारंभ से ही सीबीआई ने अपने आदर्श वाक्य उद्यमिता, निष्पक्षता एवं सत्यनिष्ठा के पथ पर चलते हुए अत्यंत जटिल एवं संवेदनशील मामलों की जांच में सत्य को उजागर कर देश की विभिन्न संस्थाओं और जनता का विश्वास अर्जित किया है। माननीय सर्वोच्च न्यायालय, माननीय उच्च न्यायालयों, केंद्र व राज्य सरकार तथा लोकपाल एवं केंद्रीय सतर्कता आयोग सीवीसी ने निरंतर राष्ट्रीय व अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महत्व के संगीन आपराधिक मामलों को सौंपकर सीबीआई की जांच प्रणाली पर अपना विश्वास व्यक्त किया है। भ्रष्टाचार उन्मूलन और सार्वजनिक जीवन में सत्यनिष्ठा बनाए रखने के लिए सीबीआई पर प्रिवेंटिव विजिलेंस एवं प्यूनिटिव विजिलेंस की मुख्य जिम्मेदारियां हैं। देश के आर्थिक स्वास्थ्य को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए सीबीआई बैंक धोखाधड़ी और आर्थिक अपराधों की गहन जांच कर अपना महत्वपूर्ण योगदान देती रही है। सीबीआई ने अनेक आर्थिक अपराधियों को न्यायपूर्वक दंड दिलाकर देश की आर्थिक प्रणाली में विश्वास बढ़ाया है। सीबीआई केंद्र सरकार के प्रतिष्ठानों से जुड़े साइबर क्राइम के मामलों की जांच एवं G7 24/7 के नेटवर्क से अंतर्राष्ट्रीय डेटा संरक्षण के लिए अधिकृत नोडल एजेंसी है। देश की उत्कृष्ट जांच एजेंसी सीबीआई पर गंभीर मामलों की जांच, अनुसंधान एवं उनके सफल अभियोजन का दायित्व है। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सहयोग के अंतर्गत इंटरपोल की नोडल एजेंसी के रूप में कार्य करने वाली सीबीआई आज देश के विभिन्न पुलिस बल के साथ परस्पर समन्वय, प्रशिक्षण एवं रिसर्च के माध्यम से राष्ट्र को सुरक्षित एवं संरक्षित रखने के लिए प्रतिबद्ध है। सीबीआई की वास्तविक शक्ति उसके अनुसंधान एवं अभियोजन अधिकारियों की पेशेवर दक्षता, कर्तव्य के प्रति समर्पण एवं ईमानदारी से ही है। गाजियाबाद स्थित सीबीआई एकेडमी में कड़े प्रशिक्षण में तब कर सीबीआई ऑफिसर्स अपने विशिष्ट दायित्वों के लिए तैयार होते हैं। देश की सभी कानून प्रवर्तन संस्थाओं के लिए सीबीआई की क्राइम मैनुअल एवं मानक संचालन प्रक्रियाएं गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड मानी जाती हैं। निरंतर परिवर्तित होते आपराधिक परिवेश से निपटने के लिए नवीनतम तकनीकों को अपनाकर सीबीआई ने कई अति विशिष्ट जांच प्रभाग एवं इकाइयां बनाई हैं। सीबीआई के कार्यालयों का नेटवर्क श्रीनगर से तिरुवनंतपुरम एवं गांधीनगर से ईटानगर तक देश के 36 शहरों में स्थित है। सीबीआई के जांच एवं अभियोजन अधिकारियों के बेजोड़ तालमेल, उनके निरंतर प्रशिक्षण व उन्नयन, आधुनिक तकनीकों का तीव्रता से एकीकरण इसे विश्व की एक बेहतरीन इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी बनाता है। आज सीबीआई का कन्विक्शन रेट करीब 75% है, जो वैश्विक मानकों से तुलनीय है। अंतरराष्ट्रीय एजेंसियों के साथ निकट समन्वय से सीबीआई ने वांछित भगोड़ों की भारत वापसी के लिए ऑपरेशन त्रिशूल, ड्रग संबंधित सूचना आदान प्रदान के लिए ऑपरेशन गरुड़, साइबर अपराधों पर अंकुश लगाने के लिए ऑपरेशन चक्र एवं ऑनलाइन बाल यौन शोषण को रोकने के लिए ऑपरेशन मेघ चक्र लॉन्च किए हैं। भ्रष्टाचार के विरुद्ध जीरो टॉलरेंस की प्रतिबद्धता के साथ सीबीआई राष्ट्र सेवा में समर्पित है। आजादी के अमृत काल में उत्तरोत्तर उत्कृष्टता के लक्ष्य की ओर अग्रसर है।
May I request all guests to kindly switch off their phones or to place them in airplane mode. Our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, Chief Justice of India, has arrived and will soon be amongst us. I request all esteemed guests to kindly rise as the chief guest enters the auditorium. I request all esteemed guests to kindly rise. We are honored to have amongst us Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, Chief Justice of India. I request the Director, Central Bureau of Investigation, to kindly welcome our chief guest with a bonsai. Thank you, sir. I now request the Director, Central Bureau of Investigation, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, Chief Justice of India, Honorable Judges of Supreme Court of India, Chief Justice of High Court of Rajasthan, Honorable Judges of Delhi High Court, Member of UPSC, Honorable Chairman of Central Administrative Tribunal, Shri Praveen Kumar Shrivastava, Honorable Central Vigilance Commissioner, Shrimati Rachna Shah, Secretary, Department of Personnel and Training, Special Director and my senior colleague Shrimati Sampath Meena, family members of late Shri D.P. Kohli, distinguished leaders of police and security organizations based in Delhi, former directors of CBI, senior officers of Government of India and state governments, medal awardees of today's investiture ceremony and their family members, past and present members of CBI family, many of whom are connected through video virtually, friends from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to each one of the distinguished guests on the occasion of 22nd D.P. Kohli Memorial Lecture. It indeed is an honor and privilege to warmly welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, Chief Justice of India, who has kindly consented to deliver D.P. Kohli Memorial Lecture. Sir, on behalf of entire CBI family, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for gracing this occasion. Your dedication to upholding justice and liberty, procedural fairness, and judicial pragmatism serves as an inspiration to all of us. On this solemn occasion, CBI fondly remembers its founding director, Shri D.P. Kohli. Born in 1907 in Uttar Pradesh, he joined police service in 1931 and served in different capacities before getting appointed as first director of CBI on April 1, 1963. He played a pioneering role in establishing and shaping India's premier investigating agency during its formative years. Under his leadership, CBI imbibed the ethos of industry, impartiality, and integrity. Every year since year 2000, we pay our respect and homage to our former director, founder director, by organizing this lecture. Today, CBI has evolved from investigating agency to investigate cases of corruption to now sensational special crimes and complicated cases involving economic offenses, banking frauds handed over to it by states and constitutional courts. Of late, CBI has also specialized as investigating agency to handle cyber crimes, online child sexual abuse and exploitation, global trafficking in human beings, and related money laundering cases. In recent past, we have been witnessing rapid changes in landscape of crime and criminality. The growing technological advancements are bringing new avenues and scope for the criminals. The organized criminal gangs and cartels are operating from within the country as well as safe sanctuaries in other parts of the world, targeting the vulnerability of every section of society. Cyber-enabled fraud, as we all know, are particularly more challenging due to anonymity and speed with which crime is executed. Funds move rapidly across multiple mule accounts, telecom identities are discarded within hours, digital footprints are erased, and perpetrators often operate from jurisdiction beyond our immediate reach. Focus of CBI has consistently been not only on individual complaints, but also on dismantling the ecosystem and infrastructure of cybercrime. Sir, DP Kohli Memorial Lecture has always been an occasion to listen to eminent speakers and reflect on evolving challenges in law enforcement and criminal justice system. It has served as a platform for dialogue and knowledge sharing. Sir, you are well known for your sharp legal acumen, profound knowledge, and commitment to rule of law. Your citizen-centric court observations and judgments are crucial for fostering trust, transparency, and accountability in a democratic structure. I would like to mention here some of your crucial observations for the benefit of listeners and good governance. You have repeatedly stressed that home buyers are not speculative investors, but ordinary citizens investing life savings, and that they should not be left helpless. Similarly, on another occasion, you have observed that compensation laws involving motor accidents must be interpreted liberally in favor of victims and their families and avoid technicalities that deprive victims of rightful relief. You have also stressed that consumers are often weaker party and deserve stronger protection, and that legal process should not become so complex that they give up seeking justice. But sir, most important, in recent times, you have consistently reminded us that cybercrime is not merely a financial fraud, but a direct assault on public trust. When an ordinary citizen loses life saving to an online scam, the damage is not just economic. It is emotional, psychological, and deeply personal. Such clarity sends a strong message that the justice system stands by the family of victim and will not treat these offenses lightly. Sir, fake notices are frequently used to create fear, panic, and a false sense of legal compulsion among public. To combat this challenge, today we have planned to launch, through your hands, Abhay, an AI-based help bot developed by CBI in your august presence. This is a citizen-centric digital initiative to empower an ordinary citizen to distinguish between a genuine notice issued by CBI and a fraudulent one circulated by cyber criminals. We are also grateful to Honorable Chief Justice, who has consented to decorate 23 officers of CBI who have been awarded with President's Medal for Distinguished Service and Medal for Meritorious Service for the year 2025. Once again, I welcome Honorable Chief Justice of India and all distinguished guests for gracing this occasion, and look forward to Honorable Chief Justice to enlighten us with his views on the challenges of cybercrime. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. AI-based help bot for authenticating your notices, or Abhay, is an AI-powered verification system designed to combat cyber-enabled frauds, especially digital arrest scams, by allowing the public to authenticate CBI notices via a secure chatbot. The tool integrates directly into the agency's internal workflow to cross-reference notice data against official records while strictly maintaining data privacy. We now present a short video on Abhay.
Cyber frauds have become one of the biggest challenges before our criminal justice system today. New technologies like artificial intelligence and deepfakes are making it harder to tell what is real and what is fake. This growing threat is shaking public trust in our institutions and in the digital world on which our future depends.
The rule of law itself rests upon predictability. Citizens must know where they stand. They must believe that institutions are real, accessible, and reliable. But when digital deception becomes widespread, there is no predictability, it gets eroded. And when manipulated images and fabricated voices circulate freely, the first casualty is what? Truth itself becomes contested.
Digital arrest, a form of cyber fraud, works by creating fear in the mind of the victim. It begins with a notice which looks like sent by a law enforcement agency. The notice accuses the victim of involvement in a crime. When victim trusts it, fraudsters initiate false legal proceedings by keeping him under watch for days, calling it digital arrest, which does not exist in our law.
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस के कारण और उसमें भी डीप फेक के कारण जो एक नया संकट आ रहा है, भारत का बहुत बड़ा वर्ग ऐसा है कि उसके पास वेरिफिकेशन के लिए या ऑथेंटिफाई करने के लिए कोई उसके पास पैरेलल व्यवस्था नहीं है.
CBI has realized that it is very difficult for a common person to know whether the notice is real or fake. Therefore, to place the power of verification of notices directly in the hands of citizens, CBI has developed an artificial intelligence-based help bot named Abhay. That is, AI-based help bot for authentication of your notices, to verify the authenticity of notices issued by CBI on a real-time basis. Abhay is accessible through CBI's official website, and users can verify any CBI notice by uploading it on the Abhay. The AI-powered verification engine scans the uploaded notice and cross-references it with CBI's notice generation system's database. The citizen receives confirmation whether the notice is genuine or potentially fraudulent. The state of helplessness and fear are replaced by certainty and confidence. Abhay has been designed with the highest standards of security and privacy in mind. It never discloses any sensitive details like nature of case, identity of any person, or any operational information. Its only purpose is to confirm the authenticity of a notice. CBI is committed to dismantle the weapon of fear that the fraudsters have used for years and replacing it with a simple instrument of certainty in the hands of every citizen. Because nothing defeats a fake notice faster than a verified truth. With Abhay, from fear to fearless.
I request our Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, accompanied by the Director, CBI, and distinguished dignitaries on the dais to kindly launch Abhay. Thank you, sir. I now request our Chief Guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, accompanied by Director CBI and distinguished dignitaries on the dais to kindly come forward and bestow the Police Medal for Meritorious Service upon the outstanding achievers of CBI, who have exemplified dedication and excellence in law enforcement. Shri Rajiv Ranjan, Joint Director, Ranchi Zone. Ms. Sudha Singh, Joint Director, Administration. Shri Ashwin Anand Shenvi, Joint Director, IPCU and Coordination Zone. Ms. Jayalakshmi Ramanujam, the then Head of Branch, ACB Bangalore, now IG Anti-Corruption Branch, Andhra Pradesh. Shri Amritpal Singh, Deputy Legal Advisor, EO3, New Delhi. Shri Vivek, Deputy Superintendent of Police, EO2, New Delhi. Shri Suraj Mazumdar, Deputy Superintendent of Police, Vigilance Cell, New Delhi. Shri Raj Kumar, Inspector of Police, Head Office, New Delhi. Shri Manikavel Sundaramurthy, Inspector of Police, ACB, Chennai. Shri Sanjeev Sharma, Inspector of Police, AC3, New Delhi. Shri Baldev Kumar, Inspector of Police, Head Office, New Delhi. Shri Rajendra Kumar, Sub-Inspector of Police, ACB, Shimla. Shri Naresh Kumar Kaushik, Sub-Inspector of Police, EO4, New Delhi. Shri Vishnu Om Vikram, Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police, SC1, New Delhi. Shri Vahengbam Sunil Singh, Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police, ACB, Imphal. Shri Subhash Kisan Khatele, Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police, STB, Mumbai. Shri Kuldeep Kumar Bhardwaj, Assistant Sub-Inspector of Police, BSFB, New Delhi. Shri Alok Kumar Mazumdar, Head Constable, SU, Kolkata. Shri N. Krishna, Head Constable, ACB, Bangalore. Shri Vinod Kumar Chaudhary, Head Constable, ACB, Jabalpur. Shri Dayaram Yadav, Head Constable, CBI Academy, Ghaziabad. Shri Sheikh Kamruddin, Constable, ACB, Vishakhapatnam. Shri Rajesh Kumar, Constable, SCB, Chandigarh. We wish all the awardees continued excellence and greater achievements in the years ahead. Thank you, sir. We now come to the most awaited part of today's program, the D.P. Kohli Memorial Lecture. It is my proud privilege to say a few words about our esteemed chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant. Born in the village of Petwad in Hisar, Haryana, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant began his academic journey at Government Postgraduate College, Hisar, and earned his LLB from Maharishi Dayanand University, Rohtak in 1984. A first-generation lawyer, he commenced practice at the District Court Hisar before moving to the Punjab and Haryana High Court in 1985, where he built a distinguished practice in constitutional, service, and civil law, representing a wide range of institutions, including the High Court itself. He earned the distinction of being appointed the youngest ever Advocate General of Haryana in the year 2000. He was designated a senior advocate in 2001 and was elevated as a judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court in 2004. Demonstrating his commitment to academic excellence, he secured first class first in his LLM from Kurukshetra University in 2011. Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant later served as Chief Justice of the Himachal Pradesh High Court, where he was noted for his contributions to judicial administration and access to justice. He was elevated to the Supreme Court of India in May 2019, where he delivered several landmark judgments advancing constitutional values, institutional integrity, and individual rights. He also held key positions with the National Legal Services Authority and the Supreme Court Legal Services Committee, and contributed to legal education and policy through various national and international bodies. He was sworn in as the 53rd Chief Justice of India on the 24th of November 2025. Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant is widely respected for his clarity of expression, social sensitivity, and commitment to judicial reform. His decisions reflect a fine balance between the rule of law and compassion, addressing critical areas such as criminal jurisprudence, environmental protection, and administrative accountability. He is also an advocate for technological innovation in the judiciary and for expanding access to justice, particularly for the marginalized. His vision embodies the judiciary's evolving role in ensuring transparency, efficiency, and empathy in the administration of justice. Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant served on several landmark constitutional benches, including the one that unanimously upheld the abrogation of Article 370. A steadfast champion of fundamental rights, he authored the Jitendra Singh versus Ministry of Environment judgment, holding that the transformation of local water bodies, even with alternatives, violated Article 21 of the Constitution. He also consistently emphasized that the enjoyment of fundamental rights was intertwined with the discharge of fundamental duties, underscoring the importance of constitutional morality and civic responsibility. His journey from an obscure village in rural Haryana to the highest judicial office in the country remains a source of inspiration for all. I now request our chief guest, Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant, to kindly deliver the D.P. Kohli Memorial Lecture on the topic, Challenges of Cybercrime, Role for Police and Judiciary.
Thank you. My esteemed colleagues from the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Mr. Justice Pankaj Mittal, Justice Amanullah, Justice Arvind Kumar, Justice Satish Sharma, Justice Augustine Masih, Justice Prasanna B. Varale, Justice Koteshwar Singh, Justice Sanjeev Prakash Sharma, Acting Chief Justice Rajasthan High Court, very distinguished judges of Delhi High Court and some other high courts who are also gracing the occasion, the Secretary General and Registrar and other officers of the Supreme Court establishment, Shri P.K. Srivastava, Central Vigilance Commissioner, Shri Praveen Sood, Director, Central Bureau of Investigation, Ms. Rachana Shah, London Secretary, DOPT, Ms. Sampath Meena, Special Director, CBI. We also have among us Additional Solicitor General of India, Shri Anil Kaushik, Shri D.P. Singh, we have other officers also, the senior law officers from the central and state governments, Commissioner of Police, Delhi, Director General of Police and senior police officers, senior officers from the Central Bureau of Investigation, esteemed guests, friends from media, ladies and gentlemen. It is both my proud privilege and profound pleasure to pay tribute to a visionary public servant, a man whose ethos and perspicacity shaped the very foundations of our nation's premier investigating agency, late Shri Dharmnath Prasad Kohli, the founder, director of the Central Bureau of Investigation. Though Shri Praveen Sood has briefly enlightened us about the journey of Shri Kohli, I believe that he was not merely an administrator, he was an institution and an institutional titan. At a time when India was still shaping its governance structure, he spearheaded an investigating body that would be defined not by power, but by credibility. His philosophy was simple, yet revelatory, that the legitimacy of an institution rests not in the authority it wields, but in the trust it inspires. Under his stewardship, the foundations of CBI were laid with an emphasis on professionalism, independence and integrity. There were not abstract ideals, but operational principles which he imbibed in the institution. He understood that in a democratic society, the investigative process must command public confidence, and that confidence must be earned through consistency, impartiality, and competence. It is worth recalling that the motto he gave to CBI, industry, impartiality, integrity, which were not merely a maxim, but a vow of continuing purpose. These three principles
continue to serve as a beacon for every officer of the organization. In a moving farewell letter addressed to his colleagues on the eve of his retirement in 1968, Sri Kohli reminded this very motto and concluded with the remarkable clarity, and I quote him, that loyalty to duty must come first in all matters, at all times, and in all circumstances. That message, lucid in expression yet tectonic in meaning, continues to resonate across generations of officers. I am sure that for years to come, Sri Kohli will be remembered within the organization with deep affection, admiration, and respect, not merely as its towering first director, but as the guiding spirit behind its institutional lifeblood. Over the decades, CBI has grown into an institution of national significance. It has handled some of the most complex and sensitive investigations in the country, often under intense public scrutiny. Its work has not only shaped legal outcomes, but has also influenced public perception of justice. In that sense, CBI occupies a unique position in India's investigating framework. It operates at the intersection of law enforcement, governance, and public accountability. Its mandate spans corruption, economic offenses, and serious crimes with national and international dimensions. In each of these domains, it has been called upon to navigate not just legal complexities, but also institutional expectations. What distinguishes the CBI is its responsibility to undertake investigations that transcend conventional boundaries, be they geographical, institutional, or technological. That obligation CBI to develop specialized expertise, cultivate interagency coordination, and engage with international counterparts in ways that reflect the changing nature of crime itself. The significance of CBI, however, ought not to be understood solely in terms of its past laurels. It must be evaluated in light of the challenges it confronts, the challenges that are increasingly defined by technology, transnationality, and scale. It is in this context that the theme that my today's thought processing assumes particular importance. Cybercrime, a transformation not merely of degree, but of character. Crime in the digital age is often described as an extension of conventional wrongdoing into a new medium. What we are witnessing today is not merely a quantitative increase in crime, but a qualitative transformation, one that alters its nature, its reach, and its consequences. Among the most significant manifestations of this evolving threat are certain recurring forms of cybercrime that have acquired alarming prevalence, namely investment frauds promising unrealistic returns, predatory loan application scams that exploit financial vulnerability, cryptocurrency-related frauds leveraging opacity and anonymity, and perhaps most disturbing all of them is so-called digital arrest scams, where individuals are psychologically coerced into compliance through fabricated claims of legal authority. Over the past year, I believe nearly 28 lakh cybercrime complaints have been registered, an astronomical figure that now constitutes almost half of all reported offenses. In the span of just 2 years, 24 and 25, citizens have collectively lost close to rupees 44,000 crore to cyber fraud. The scale of this threat becomes even more stark when we consider that since 2022, the Ministry of Home Affairs has recorded over 241,000 complaints relating specifically to so-called digital arrest. That scam alone involving losses of approximately rupees 30,000 crore. This is not merely a domestic concern. The Financial Action Task Force has observed that nearly 15% of the adult population globally has been exposed to or fallen victim to cybercrime attempts. What is perhaps most disgusting is the fact that barely 10% of the defrauded amount could be traced or recovered. These numbers demand reflection, but they also require interpretation. Unlike traditional crimes, cyber offenses are not constrained by proximity or opportunity. They are engineered, they are scalable, and most importantly, they are designed to exploit trust at a systemic level. The anatomy of crime fraud in cyber-related crimes reveals a deeply unsettling reality. These crimes are often preceded by meticulous data harvesting, personal information, behavioral patterns, and financial habits, all aggregated and analyzed. The victim is not randomly chosen. The victim is profiled. What follows is not a crude attempt at deception, but a calibrated engagement through phishing emails, fraudulent calls, impersonation of authorities, or simulated urgency. The result is not merely financial loss, it is a blistering sense of violation. Victims frequently speak of embarrassment, hesitation, and even repression. Many do not report the offense, fearing stigma or disbelief. In doing so, the crime achieves a second, more insidious effect. It completely isolates the victim. It is therefore imperative that we begin to understand cybercrime not merely as an economic offense, but as a crime against human dignity. It disrupts the sense of agency that individuals have their own. It converts everyday digital interactions, namely banking, communications, and even social engagement, into sites of vulnerability. And in an increasing digital society, this vulnerability is not marginal but universal. It is needless to emphasize that cybercrime has not only transformed in character, but it has equally transformed in geography. Or, perhaps more accurately, it has rendered geography increasingly irrelevant. A significant number of sophisticated cyber fraud operations today are traced to organized scam compounds located all across part of Southeast Asia. These are not incidental clusters of criminal activity. They are structured ecosystems, often operating with corporate-like precision, hierarchical organizations, and technological infrastructure. Between these structural features lies an even more ghastly reality. I am told, and I have read, that a significant number of individuals operating within these networks are not willing participants, but trafficked victims themselves, who are confined within these cyber scam compounds, subjected to coercion, surveillance, and often physical intimidation. They are compelled to perpetuate fraud against others, becoming both instruments and victims of an exploitative criminal enterprise. Within these compounds, roles are clearly defined. Some procure and process data, some design scripts, carefully worded, psychologically calibrated, and often localized to specific regions. There are operators trained to execute these scripts with fluency and persuasion. There are technical teams that manage digital interfaces, spoof identities, and route communications through layers of obfuscation. In many instances, these operations function across multiple jurisdictions simultaneously. A single fraudulent transaction may involve a victim in one country, a server in another, financial routing in third, and operators located elsewhere entirely. The crime, in fact, exists everywhere and nowhere at once. This diffusion of location creates profound challenges for enforcement. Traditional concepts of jurisdiction, territorial, procedural, and evidentiary, all are strained. Questions arise not only about where a crime occurred, but about which legal framework governs it, which agency has primacy, and how evidence can be lawfully accessed and preserved. Moreover, these networks are adaptive. As enforcement tightens in one region, operations shift to another. As detection mechanisms improve, methods evolve. Encryption, anonymization tools, and digital currencies further complicate tracing efforts. The result is a form of criminality that is not merely transnational but deterritorialized. It compels us to reconsider the very foundations of investigative jurisdictions and to move towards models that are cooperative, flexible, and anticipatory. One of the most striking paradoxes in the fight against cybercrime is this. While the perpetrators operate as integrated enterprises, the institutional response often remains fragmented and sequential. The ecosystem involved in responding to cybercrimes is vast and complex. Banks and financial institutions act as custodians of transactional integrity. Telecommunication providers and internet service platforms serve as conduits of communication. Social media platforms facilitate interaction at scale. Law enforcement agencies such as CBI investigate and undertake complex multi-layered inquiries. Each of these institutions possesses critical capabilities, yet their actions are often disjointed in time and scope. Allow me to illustrate this through a seemingly simple but increasingly familiar sequence of events. A person receives a call or a message that happens entirely legitimate, often invoking urgency or authority. It may be a request to verify a bank account, to resolve a pending issue, or to prevent an alleged security breach. In that brief moment, trust is established and action follows. A transaction is made, often within seconds, before doubt has the opportunity to intervene. At the bank's end, the system processes the transaction as part of its normal operations. Soon after, internal safeguards, if at all any, may detect that something is unusual and flag the transaction. But by the time that alert is generated, the funds have already been moved, sometimes broken into smaller amounts and routed through multiple accounts. What began as a single transaction quickly becomes a complex trail that is difficult to trace in real time. Meanwhile, telecommunications network hold data that could help identify the source of the communication, and digital platforms may begin to detect similar patterns of fraudulent behavior. However, this information is not always accessed or shared immediately. When the victim approaches law enforcement, the investigation begins with a conventional approach, and more often than not, its fate would depend on inputs from several institutions, each following its own procedures. The result is that while the crime is executed with speed and coordination, the response unfolds in stages, creating a gap that is often exploited by those hardcore professional criminals. This successional response stands in stark contrast to the real-time, coordinated execution of cybercrime itself. What is required, therefore, is a fundamental shift in perspective. Cybercrimes can no longer be approached as a series of isolated incidents, each addressed after the harm has occurred. It must instead be recognized as a systemic threat that calls for an equally systemic and anticipatory response. This would firstly involve real-time information sharing frameworks where alerts generated by one institution are immediately communicated to the others. The banks must install softwares to flag automated suspicious transactions or anomalous activity detected by a digital platform. Such a message must go to the account holder as well as the acknowledged or notified investigating agencies like CBI. Each such message can be automated so that action can be taken before the trail gets cold. Secondly, in this era of advanced technology, it should be possible to geographically identify whether a receiving bank account is being operated within the country or across borders. Transactions involving the transfer of funds to foreign accounts may be briefly paused. I'm using the word briefly paused to allow verification of the account holder. The next step could be the automated freezing of such transactions where concerns arise. At the same time, legitimate Indian businesses with established roots in India can be appropriately exempted from such measures. Thirdly, the geographical location of any suspicious receiving account should be promptly identified and shared with the relevant enforcement agencies, both within India and where necessary with its counterparts abroad. This coordinated approach would enable timely verification of the account holder and facilitate swift action, including the suspension or freezing of transactions wherever required or if at all it is possible. Fourthly, we need integrated command structures capable of coordinating responses across sectors and agencies. Such structures must ensure that law enforcement, financial institutions, telecommunication networks, and digital platforms do not act in silos, but operate in a synchronized manner, especially in time-sensitive situations. Fifthly, we require standardized protocols ensuring consistency, clarity, and accountability in action. Whether it is freezing accounts, sharing data, or initiating investigations, there must be clearly defined procedures that are uniformly followed, reducing delays and eliminating uncertainties. Lastly, we need technological interoperability, allowing systems across institutions to communicate seamlessly with one another. The ability to exchange data securely, efficiently, and in a compatible formats is essential to ensuring that critical information is not lost in translation or delayed by technical barriers. Equally important is the recognition that responsibility in addressing cybercrime is inherently shared. No single institution, however capable, can claim exclusivity over either the problem or the solution. Banks, telecommunication providers, digital platforms, law enforcement agencies, and investigative bodies each occupy a vital space within this ecosystem. Their effectiveness, however, depends not merely on their individual strength, but on their ability to function as part of a coordinated whole. The success of our response will therefore lie in building cohesion across these actors, fostering trust and creating mechanisms through which collective responsibility can translate into collective, timely, and effective action. The evolving challenge of cybercrime has also engaged the considered attention of the Supreme Court. Without entering into the specific details, I wish to highlight that the court has taken note of patterns that cut across regions and jurisdictions, affecting individuals in disparate parts of the country in strikingly similar ways. The issue, therefore, is no longer one of isolated wrongdoing, but of a systemic challenge that implicates questions of governance, accountability, and access to justice. The court's engagement, in that sense, as both a recognition of the gravity of the problem and an affirmation that the legal system must remain attentive, responsive, and alive to the changing realities of our time. It also sends a wider message that the concerns of ordinary citizens, particularly those who find themselves vulnerable in the digital space, are neither unseen nor unheard at the highest level. But recognition, however significant, must inevitably lead to response. And that response must be anchored in responsibility. Responsibility that is not diffused or uncertain, but clearly defined, collectively assumed, and consistently discharged. At the forefront of this effort stand our law enforcement agencies, including the CBI. For these institutions, the challenge today is no longer confined to the traditional mode of investigation, where action follows the occurrence of an offense, and outcomes often remain uncertain as investigations get weighed down by the recording of numerous statements under different provisions of procedural laws. It rather requires a shift towards anticipation, preparedness, and adaptability. The question is no longer simply how effectively an offense can be investigated after it has been committed, but how swiftly and intelligently systems can respond while the offense is still unfolding. This calls for a reorientation of approach where institutional responses are not only reactive but proactive, and not only procedural but strategic. It also requires a shared sense of purpose across agencies so that the response to cybercrime is not fragmented or episodic, but cohesive and sustained. In this lies the true measure of institutional readiness in the digital age. The first imperative is capacity building. Cybercrime demands expertise that goes beyond conventional policing. It requires proficiency in digital forensics, recovery and analyzing data from devices, networks, and cloud systems. It requires financial intelligence, the ability to trace complex transactions, chains across jurisdictions and platforms. It also requires cyber intelligence, monitoring patterns, identifying emerging threats, and preempting large scale operations. This in turn necessitates continuing training, investment in technology, and institutional flexibility. The second imperative is collaboration. The fight against cybercrime cannot be siloed. It must involve coordinated engagement with financial institutions, technology companies, regulatory bodies, and international counterparts. Information must flow not as an exception but as a norm. Equally, given the inherently transnational character of these offences, investigative agencies must cultivate greater expertise in conducting cross-border inquiries. Meaningful engagement with foreign law enforcement counterparts is essential, not only by tracking illicit financial flows, but also for securing admissible evidence across jurisdictions. Public-private partnership assume particular importance in this regard. Much of the infrastructure through which cybercrime operates and through which it can be detected is privately owned. Harnessing this capacity requires trust, clarity of roles, and a shared commitment to safeguarding the integrity of the digital ecosystem. The third imperative is technology-led governance. Advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning must be leveraged to detect anomalies, identify networks, and predict vulnerabilities. At the same time, safeguards must ensure that such technologies are deployed in a manner that respects rights, privacy, and preserves accountability. In this milieu, the launch of Abhay today is a pivotal and opportune initiative. Conceived as a chatbot-driven verification mechanism, as we could see in the brief presentation, it enables individuals to authenticate notices issued by CBI, thereby vitalizing public trust and addressing concerns of misuse and impersonation. Importantly, such a mechanism can serve as an effective safeguard against fraudsters who masquerade as CBI officials and circulate fabricated notices through instant messaging platforms, often invoking the threat of so-called digital arrest to coerce and browbeat unsuspecting individuals. To maximize Abhay's impact, it seems to me that it would be prudent to ensure its widespread accessibility and adoption. Much like essential applications that are pre-installed on mobile devices, such a tool could be integrated by default to enhance public utility. Equally important is the need for sustained awareness, its purpose, functionality, and benefits that must be actively disseminated to foster an informed citizenry. And finally, one of the most important imperatives is a truly victim-centric approach. Systems must be designed not only for efficiency, but for accessibility and empathy. It is important to recognize that a significant number of victims of cyber fraud are often retired persons and senior citizens, many of whom lose not merely disposable income, but their entire life savings accumulated over decades of honest work. For them, the loss is not only financial, but deeply startling, often accompanied by a sense of distress, helplessness, deprivation of social security, and even ignominy. Reporting mechanism must therefore be simple, accessible, and reassuring. Response times must be minimized, particularly in the crucial initial hours when recovery may still be possible. At the same time, institutional support must extend beyond legal processes to include sensitivity toward the psychological impact of such offences, ensuring that victims are treated, they are all treated with dignity, patience, and understanding. In this integrated framework, recognition, response, and responsibility converge. It is here that institutional strength is truly tested and ultimately affirmed. I may now briefly advert to the role of the judiciary in this regard and reimagining adjudication in the digital age. Ladies and gentlemen, the monumental challenges posed by cybercrime are not confined to investigation alone. They extend deeply into the domain of adjudication also. For the judiciary, these offences present questions that test not only procedural frameworks but conceptual foundations. At the heart of the issue lies the question of jurisdiction. When a crime spans multiple territories, when the perpetrator, infrastructure, and impact are dispersed, how does a court assert jurisdiction? Traditional principles rooted in territoriality must be interpreted with a degree of flexibility that remains faithful to constitutional guarantees while responsive to contemporary realities. Equally complex is the question of evidence. Digital evidence is inherently distinct from physical evidence. It is tangible, replicable, and often transient. Its authenticity rests on metadata, chain of custody, and technical validation. Courts must therefore engage with evolving standards of admissibility, ensuring reliability without imposing impractical burdens. They must also be equipped to address cross-border evidence requests, questions of admissibility of foreign digital material, and the timelines governing international cooperation. There is also the issue of scale and interconnectedness. Many cybercrime cases are not isolated. They are part of larger network. This raises the need for consolidation of proceedings, coordinated hearings, and recognition of shared digital infrastructure. Fragmented adjudication risks not only inefficiency but also inconsistency. Closely allied to this is the evolving dimension of bail jurisprudence in such cases, where an accused is alleged to be part of an organized cyber fraud network, often spanning multiple jurisdictions and involving numerous victims. The assessment cannot remain confined to the facts of an individual complaint. Courts may be required to situate such allegations within the broader architecture of organized criminal activity, bearing in mind the scale, coordination, and potential continuing impact of such networks. The judiciary must also grapple with this pace of technology. Legal processes by design are deliberative. Technology, by contrast, evolves rapidly. Bridging this gap requires procedural, institutional, and intellectual innovation. Judicial training, therefore, becomes paramount. Courts must be equipped not only with legal knowledge but also with technical and technological understanding. Expert assistance, specialized benches, and digital infrastructure can play a critical role. At the same time, it is important to reaffirm that the core principles of justice, namely fairness, natural justice, and accountability, remain unchanged. The challenge is not to abandon these principles, but to apply them meaningfully in a transformed context. In doing so, the judiciary does more than resolve disputes. It shapes the normative framework within which digital society operates. It ensures that even in a world of artificial intelligence and networks, the rule of law remains human at its core. As the curtains draw to a close, we return to where we began, with the recognition that crime has entered a new frontier. The challenges are formidable, but they are not insurmountable. The everlasting legacy of Shri D.P. Kohli reminds us that institutions are not defined by obstacles they face, but by the manner in which they rise to meet them. Imagine for a moment the vast and uncharted ocean of the digital world, one where our society sails forward on ships of innovation, brimming with opportunity. Yet, beneath these waters drift silent predators, cyber criminals, striking without warning from hidden depths. In facing these tempests of deception and danger, the police and the judiciary are the twin pillars of our voice, guiding and securing us on this perilous journey. Here, the police play the role of watchful navigators, scanning the digital horizons for threats. They ensure our vessel stays on course, warning and protecting against sudden squalls of cyber attacks. The judiciary, in turn, is the anchor that holds firm when storms strike. It provides the ballast that keeps our societal ship upright even amid rogue waves. Together, the investigators and the judiciary form the compass and keel of our shared journey. Neither can sail alone. Their partnership, like wind and rudder, is what keeps the digital cruise safe. Picture a cyber ocean where ships sail unafraid, where innovation rides waves of trust and justice travels as swiftly as the tide. This is the future we seek, an expedition where every citizen, every institution, and every nation moves forward under the watch of vigilant lighthouses and the security of steadfast anchors. As we set course for this horizon, let us remember that a fleet sails strongest when every ship moves in synchronicity. Police, judiciary, citizenry must coalesce to traverse this boundless sea, ensuring that the waters of cyberspace remain a realm of shelter and abundance. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope I have been able to convey my views on this complex and complicated issue. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you to CBI and Mr. Praveen Sood for inviting me to share my views. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, sir. I now request Director CBI to present a memento to the Chief Guest as a token of our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation. Thank you, sir. The medal recipients are requested to kindly proceed for the group photograph. As we come to the close of this memorable evening, we express our heartfelt thanks to Honorable Mr. Justice Surya Kant for an insightful, thought-provoking, and inspiring address on an issue of profound contemporary relevance. We extend our gratitude to the Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court of India, Honorable Chief Justices and Judges of various High Courts, and all other eminent dignitaries present today. I thank one and all. I now request the Chief Guest and dignitaries on the dais to kindly join us for a group photograph with the medal recipients. All other guests are requested to kindly join us for high tea from the exit gate to my left. Designated officers of CBI will guide you to the venue. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.